Hi everybody, welcome inside the UPMC Rooney Sports Complex for the Huddle, presented by Hyundai for our Steelers Nation Unite members. As you can see, it's the first time we've been back together since the season ended, so we'll probably have some good laughs.
The good news is I'm still right. He's still wrong. I don't know about her.
All right,
Jury's out.
Wrong programming. We have tons of questions from you guys today. As you know, free agency just started yesterday. The draft is coming up. So I imagine we're going to touch on a number of things. So we'll quiz our experts over here. You like that? This is from KC412. What are the main deciding factors when releasing a key veteran player during the offseason?
Can he play anymore? I mean, certainly there's a financial issue, but to me that's secondary. Can he play anymore? If he can still play, you try and make the numbers work. If you can't play anymore, no numbers make any sense.
Yeah, it's well stated. There are financial concerns, but I don't think teams, oh, gee, we're over the cap, so cut a starter and a guy we're really counting on.
Brown.
Yeah.
If
you're worth your weight, they'll find a way to work you in.
Well, they'll put the spotlight on someone else.
Yeah.
All right, this is from Steelers Nation Unite member. Do you think the Steelers will draft an offensive lineman in the later rounds to replace the versatile Chris Hubbard, who, of course, we know was just signed by the Browns?
Yeah, I think there's going to have to be some offensive linemen added to the group. If not drafted, then certainly undrafted free agents. The Steelers lost Chris Hubbard, but they have some hope for both Gerald Hawkins and Matt Filer, and they still have Mike Munchak, arguably the best offensive line coach in football.
Still have PJ Finney too, right?
Yeah, I understand, but I mean, in terms of, Hubbard was more of a tackle, an outside guy.
He kind of did it all. That's
I understand
that's
that.
why Cleveland.
Yeah, $37.5 million.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah, so
good for him.
You're saying they might draft an offensive lineman
later,
so they're not all going to be linebackers and safeties?
I'll tell you what, it wouldn't surprise me at all if the first four were one or the other.
Yeah.
2 linebackers, 2 safeties. They cut 3 safeties yesterday, or 2 safeties and a veteran cornerback.
I think they'd go more the free agent route for the linemen, and I think they're relatively covered. The Hubbard situation was not unforeseen, certainly.
Right, absolutely not. But I mean, if you get in the 7th round, and the best guy there on your board is clearly an offensive lineman, I mean, why draft a linebacker or a safety to cut?
All right.
See, I'm right, he's wrong.
Steel Curtain 70 says, what can you tell us about the new offensive coordinator Randy Fichtner and his offensive philosophy/experience?
His offensive philosophy, I don't have anything for you on that, and how he's going to handle certain situations, I don't have anything for you on that either. I think that even if we would have talked to him about those things, I think that, show me, don't tell me. I think that is much more of a way to gauge these coaches and how they might approach things. But what I understand was when he was at Memphis, Randy Fichtner was a guy who was creative in the sense of using his players to the best of their ability. And I'm not, predicting any, options with Ben and Le'Veon or anything, but Randy Fichtner is a guy who, at least when he was the offensive coordinator at Memphis, was someone who molded the scheme to fit the players that he has, which is the way you got to do it in my mind.
I know he's a Purdue guy, so I have my doubts right off the bat.
At least he's not a Michigan guy.
But I also know he's worked with Mike Tomlin a lot. And if Mike Tomlin's comfortable, I don't think anybody should be any different until circumstances dictate otherwise.
Until the first 3 and out of the opener.
Not a lot of experience as an NFL play caller.
No.
In fact, none. So.
Oh, no, preseason game.
Yeah.
No.
Right, okay. No, but just.
Something.
Right. A world of potential.
Yes.
All right, this next question is from Terrell. What exactly do you think is the biggest downfall from stopping us getting back to the Super Bowl? We seem to have the talent, but something always gets in our way, whether it's late in the season and crunch time.
Well, staying healthy helps, and I think the Ryan Shazier situation was certainly impactful this year. But I don't know, Bob, I'm curious what you thought of the way the season ended. All the quote-unquote great defenses got lit up the further along the playoffs proceeded. Even Philadelphia made one play in the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Right at the end. But Minnesota was great all year and got clubbed.
New Orleans wasn't bad either on defense all through the year.
Jacksonville gave up 42 to the Steelers. That was supposed to be a great defense. Yes. Philadelphia, I mentioned. I guess maybe one of the things you got to do to get to a Super Bowl is figure out what works that year. Is it a defensive year? Is it an offensive year? Is it a special teams year? Well, they've been close, and it hasn't worked yet.
Yeah, no, and the point you made about the Eagles' defense, it's not so much, I don't think, anymore of a defense in the NFL in the playoffs dominating. I don't think you're going to win a Super Bowl 13-6. But like you mentioned, the Eagles made one play. And that's the play they needed to make at that time.
Splash play at the critical time.
Right, and that helps you win the game.
You can do that.
Right, and I think that to a large extent, that's what defense is in the NFL anymore. Making plays as opposed to shutting the opponent down is a much more realistic approach to it, I think, than expecting, the 76 Steelers where, you have like, 9 shutouts in, the season or something.
Yeah, I think those days are over. I do, to answer the question, you got to credit Philadelphia for setting that team up. Losing the quarterback, losing the left tackle, losing the kicker, losing the best linebacker, a bunch of other guys, Darren Sproles. The Eagles somehow were able to assemble a roster that was injury-proof, as it turned out. And the Steelers haven't been that fortunate. This year it was Ryan Shazier. Last year it was Le'Veon Bell. The year before it was Antonio Brown and Bell. Got to figure out a way to prevent the wheels from falling off when you lose 1 or 2 guys, I guess would be a place to start.
We forgot to mention our great hats that Prisuta won't wear, but he's wearing Sparty.
Nobody offered me one.
Well, you think Labs needs to wear 3?
I don't know. I thought those were like aesthetic props. Like you
yeah, they are aesthetic props.
Yeah. Well, it's green.
You're in.
I'm there.
Okay. These are from the Steelers Pro Shop, of course, with St. Patrick's Day coming up.
Being that the tournament is starting, I appreciate everybody getting behind Tom Izzo this way.
Anything for you, Prisuta.
How's that look?
Looks good.
I look good in green.
I like these hats a lot. They're good ones. All right, back to the
Go
questions.
green, as we like to say.
All right, St. Patrick's Day. This one is from Ted Webb. Labs, I think you'll like this one. How much stock should we put into Steelers coaches and management when they take prospects out to dinner during pro days?
Well, it always seems that on Twitter we are always kept up to date on who is having dinner with Kevin Colbert and Mike Tomlin. I'd like to know what they ordered personally. I mean, I think that's interesting too. It's a fact-finding mission. They took Joe Hayden to dinner, back in the day. And that didn't come around until last September.
But he did remember that.
I understand that.
But
what I think the question had to do with
how
the
much
draft.
stock do you put into
who they're going to pick? Right. So it's you can put some stock into it. I do know that I have been told there was one specific case where they kind of did a head fake with an Auburn linebacker many years ago. That had been linked to the Steelers, and the Steelers purposely made it look like when they were there for the Auburn Pro Day that they were interested in this guy who they then didn't pick. So, I mean, this is out there, and sometimes, they can use it to their advantage or try to. Other times it's a legitimate interest in the draft. Other times it's just an information gathering exercise. So, they have drafted people that they didn't have dinner with, and they have drafted people that they did have dinner with. So,
yeah, and sometimes it's a couple guys at a time. Yeah. On one pro day.
I'm just glad I don't have to pick up that check. Could you imagine that check? A couple of prospects, Kevin Colbert and Mike.
Do you do that?
What? Pick up the check?
Pick up a check, any check, ever.
All right, back to Steelers football questions. Steel Mike wants to know, can you guys give us your thoughts on the new position coaches, what each of them could potentially bring to the Steelers, being Bradley, Dunbar, and Drake?
Well, Bradley, clearly they want some not just some new people in the secondary, but a new approach. I'm as curious as anybody else to see how that plays out. Carl Dunbar's been at this a long time, and he's got a pretty established reputation, both in college and the NFL. And the wide receivers coach, I got to bone up on a little bit. I'm not real familiar with that.
Yeah, too bad Carl Dunbar isn't allowed to bring a couple of his college players with him, you know, just as kind of like Deron Payne.
Should have worked that into
Just
the
saying.
deal.
But I think that's also something that's going to be revealed over time. You know, one of the things I think is good about adding some guys who have experience in college is, you know, Kevin Colbert has talked about this already. What you see in college football ends up impacting the kinds of players that the NFL is able to draft, and then the kinds of things that those players are able to do as well. And so when you have like the situation with Carl Dunbar and Tom Bradley, they may have some insight into some things, how Alabama or Penn State or UCLA defended certain trends in college football, and you know how that you might be able to try and approach that in the NFL, because that is creeping in to the NFL offenses, spread offenses, RPOs, those run pass option plays. A lot of that stuff is making its way from college football to the NFL, and you have to deal with it in the NFL. And so, you know, maybe having some guys who have some experience with it on the college level can help you adapt to it here on the NFL level.
I hope Carl Dunbar can help him that way, because I'm worried that Mike Tomlin's going to sit down with Carl Dunbar at some point and say, "Hey, Carl, how'd you guys defend this?" And Carl's going to say, "Put a couple Alabama recruits on the job, and we were playing Vanderbilt." You know,
right.
He had a little bit of a built-in edge.
We had 4 first-round draft picks, and they had none.
Yeah.
All right, Prof. Greg says, are the Steelers going to be looking for a quarterback in the draft now
No,
that we know Ben's
no,
plans?
no.
Certainly not the first round or second, but maybe the third?
No. Please, stop. No.
I did that one for Lab.
Go to the next question.
All right.
That was tremendous.
No.
So to summarize,
No.
All right, Sparty, here's one for you. Judith902 wants to know, where do we go from here with Le'Veon Bell?
I think where it's going to end up progressing is the way it played out last year. You're not going to see a lot of Le'Veon Bell until September, and then he's going to come in and have a great year. I know the Steelers have been forthcoming in their desire to get a long-term deal worked out, but they've been trying for a long time now, and it hasn't happened yet. It leads me to believe it's not gonna. My concern with the situation is that Le'Veon Bell has said a couple times that he might stay out longer than week 1. I know he's contradicted that since then, but it's a little bit of a dice roll to me. I know they're not going to draft a quarterback. I'd be looking at a running back just in case the unforeseen.
Yeah, sitting out those weeks where he would be paid $855,000 and change for a game ain't happening. I mean, it's easy to talk about that now, but then when it's actual reality and that kind of money is there, I mean, if this is about money, which you kind of have to believe to some degree that it is, why would you give up $855,000 a week? And if he would sit out till week 10, that's almost $8 million to me. I mean, he's not that stupid.
A lot of money.
Right, he's just not. And so I believe, as you do, that I kind of am leaning towards the fact that I think that the long-term contract situation, that ship has sailed. He's going to play this year under the tag. I do believe he will have another good year, and then next year he will hit the open market, and he will probably sign somewhere else for less money than the Steelers offered him either last year or this year.
You don't think they're going to tag him again next year at 24, 25?
No, I don't. That's another one of those. You know, it's just stupid. I mean, it's 14.54 is way too much money already. Doing it next year, I think it's 20.9. That's just stupid.
I think it's 144% of this year's
contract,
or it's got to be higher than the highest franchise tag at any position. And the quarterbacks this year are 23.
Regardless, we're in the 20s now.
Right.
Talking Missi Matthews money.
Oh, I wish. I would be taking you guys out to lunch after this. All All right, we want to let you know our keyword today is league, since the new league year started yesterday.
25 million and you're going to buy us lunch?
Dinner? Vacation? Weekend
tell me.
getaway?
How about a house?
You tell
How
me
about a car?
I don't pick up the check.
Yeah. All right, we have time for just a few more questions before we get carried away here. Let's see.
Too late.
This next one is from Deb MPA. Where do you think the Steelers need to step up and embrace a leadership role on defense with some of the veterans lost? Still Cam Hayward.
Well, that's I was going to go there. Cam Hayward, I think then in the secondary, I think it's time. It's Joe Hayden time. I think that he has even though it's only his second season with the Steelers, he has the bona fides, the track record in the league. Mike Mitchell is gone. Will Gay is gone. And so, to me, there's just a natural opening there for a veteran. I think that's Joe Hayden.
Yeah, he kind of strikes me as that type of guy. So
right. He's easy.
In deed as well
yes,
as thought
right.
and word.
And then I don't know if you need one for the linebackers too. I mean, if you need one for each unit, if you think you do, there's always Vince Williams. I think that he is a guy who, he is a football player. He enjoys it. He enjoys everything about it, the practice, the preparation, and I think that is contagious and obvious to his teammates. So to me, he would be a natural guy in the linebacker room who would kind of just maybe ascend and people would gravitate around him.
All right, this will be our last one. This is from Arlo.
Are the point totals doubled on this answer?
Yeah. To Mr. Bob Labriola and Mike Prisuta, who do you each think will be the #1 overall pick this year and why?
I think it's going to be Barkley. At least it would be if I were the Cleveland Browns decision maker. I think he is a safe bet there. I think that fills a huge void for the Browns, and I think he makes whatever they do at quarterback better, because I think that kid's going to be a hell of a player. And I know they have the 4th pick. Personally, none of those quarterbacks really float my boat in terms of guaranteed can't miss franchise guy for the next 10 years. I'd go with the running back from Penn State.
I wouldn't pick a running back first just because of the way the positions are valued. If there isn't a quarterback,
well, they're worth about 14 mil now, right?
Evidently, to some people.
15, 18.
But I don't know what the Browns think of the quarterbacks. I do know that I believe that you're not going anywhere without a good one. And if there is a guy, and the guy I would really be looking at if it was me personally doing this would be Josh Allen from Wyoming. I think he's got the best physical tools for the position, and then hopefully you have Todd Haley that you hired, and he can make him into the kind of player you're looking for. Or I would look to see if there is a butt-kicking defensive player, because if you have Myles Garrett, and who knows if this guy Chubb from North Carolina State is what he is being billed as. I mean, you could have yourself a couple of bookend dominant pass rushers, playmaking perimeter people on your defense, and I think that is worth more to me than a running back.
Let me ask you this. Go back to Le'Veon's draft year.
Okay.
Redraft it knowing what we know now in the pros. Is he still a 2nd-round pick?
Probably not, but he's not the first pick of the draft.
Not the first overall?
No.
Is he top 4?
I'd have to look. I mean, I don't, off the top of my head, I don't know what the 2013 draft was.
Who was the first overall pick?
Well, I know this much. Nobody's gotten more yards per game than him.
I understand that. But again, I also, beyond the player and how talented he is, it's also the position that he plays and the importance of that within the framework of an NFL team. That's how I would do it. Like, I don't care who's Gronkowski, whatever draft he was in. I would pick him first.
Underdrafted.
Well, but what I'm saying though is a tight end in the scheme of things is not that valuable. There are other things more valuable.
I think that one is.
Well,
Agree to disagree, okay?
I hope you're in my division.
When you have that quarterback and that tight end, you're pretty good.
That tight end without that quarterback is just a guy.
Plus, when you get that quarterback in the 6th round, you can get the tight end in the 1st round.
Yeah.
All right, too many hypotheticals.
Evens out.
Yeah.
I can't handle it. All
Me
right,
either.
don't forget
Get
you
us
can
outta
get your
here.
St. Patrick's Day gear at shop.steelers.com in time
Pins too.
for Saturday. Yeah, tons of good St. Patty's Day stuff. Go Sparty for Prisuta.
Thank you.
Why not? And don't forget, the keyword today is league.